Oh my god, this match that just got announced for next week's NXT has me so damn hyped. But before we get there, Tony D'Angelo defeats Cam Hendrix in the main event of tonight's NXT to retain his NXT Championship. Good match, some cameos from Naraku and Mason Rooks, fun stuff, good match. But we don't care about that right now because next week we will be getting Naraku versus Mason Rooks in a number one contendership match. Someone in my comments a few weeks ago, I think it might have been last week or the week before, asked me when are we gonna get this match soon, and I said nah, we're not getting this match like for months at least. Only for NXT to give it to us next week. I have never been so wrong, but I'm happy. At the same time, no way this match ends cleanly. I don't see this match having a clean finish whatsoever. You've built Naraku up to be this mysterious person. You've built Mason Rooks up to be this monster. You're not going to give either of them a loss. Not that it would hurt any of them because they're both big stars in the context of how NXT is building them. But damn, this match. Damn. I expect this match to be good. It's going to be an amazing match. But it won't end clean. I think since Cam Hendrix, Mason Rooks kind of distracted Cam Hendrix during this match, that inevitably led to his loss. I feel like Cam Hendrix is going to interfere after we get a long, good match. He's going to interfere in this match, and then Robert Stone is going to make it a Fatal 4 match because there's no way I see either of these men losing. Unless you want to put the belt on one of them. But yeah, you're not going to have both these men lose so quickly. Because if Mason Rooks wins, Naraku loses, and then he loses to Tony D'Angelo. So both, you get what I'm saying? I don't know. Because I would like to see this happen. There's so many ways I would like to see this going. I just don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm no less excited for it. I'm actually really hyped. But let's go through the rest of the show though. The show opened tonight with Zarya going up against Lizzie Rain. Technically, this was Zarya's number one contendership match, not Lizzie Rain's. The match in itself was very good, very fun. You always know these two girls are going to put up an amazing match. And man, I was thinking during this match how main roster ready both of these girls are. Like, I could see Zarya and Lizzie Rain both going up to the main roster, getting extremely over, and being a consistent part of the roster right now. Like, I could see that happening right now if they were called up. It's crazy, man. The women's roster on NXT is so talented. Like, half of the roster could go up to the main roster and genuinely be at least upper mid-card stars, It's crazy. Anyways, Zarya picks up the victory. After the match, she goes to attack Lizzie Rain some more, but Tatum Paxley jumps into the ring, stops her, and tells her, you can have your championship match next week. Don't attack Lizzie Rain. So Zarya lets that go. Now we follow up a bit more with that later as we get the okay, quick interlude. We'll get back to Tatum Paxley stuff. We get a vignette for Mr. NXT that is happening next week between Tristan Angels and Shiloh Will. It is announced that the crowd will decide who will win, but there will be 3 special guest judges, and a lot of people are saying one of them is going to be Enzo Amore, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm conflicted on how I feel about Enzo Amore returning. If he returns with Big Cass and they reform that team, I would be so down for that. I need this tag team division to pick up some steam. We did get a few fun tag team matches tonight, so there's that to look out for. But if it's just Enzo Amore returning, I don't know if I necessarily like that idea. It could be cool, could be fun, who knows, but I'm not too high on Enzo Amore to really feel like, yeah, I want him to return. But yeah, we go backstage where Tatum Paxley is talking to Shiloh Will, asking how he's feeling about this, and then she gets attacked by Zarya, who gets pulled away by Shiloh Will. But that's where we are at now. So how do I feel about this? Again, I don't know, because Tatum Paxley's reign is probably going to keep going. She's probably going to win. At the same time, I wouldn't mind Zarya taking that belt off her. It's nothing against Tatum Paxley. I like her reign. It's very entertaining. I'm glad she's getting top tier challenger after top tier challenger. But just like her last title defense where I was like, I wouldn't mind if Lizzie Rain takes the belt off her, I feel the same here. And especially since Sol Ruka held that belt for so long, and that was part of like a massive part of the championship's history. Sol Ruka's double reign. I would like to see Zarya take that belt and try to outshine Tatum Paxley outshine Sol Ruka since, she's kind of been very jealous of Sol Ruka. So I'm not gonna put my money on anyone, but I do think I want Zarya to win the belt. Quick update on the speed division. Romeo Moreno loses to Lexis King, who retains his championship. Cool, if you care about the speed division, that is all fun. I was invested in this match because I like Romeo Moreno. I was really hoping he's gonna win, but I always knew he wasn't. So Lexis King, still your speed champion. Cool. I don't think anybody really cares, but you know, for those who do, there's your update. Darkstate are also about to face Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights when Shaquan Sugars beats the living hell out of Cutler James before the match and runs off, so the match gets postponed to later tonight, but it still happens as they go up against, like I said, Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne. They do manage to pick up the victory, so I'm starting to feel a bit conflicted on all this stuff with how much Miles Bourne is getting pinned, and I guess it builds towards the feud between Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. It just doesn't sit right with me as someone that is always on and off with Miles Bourne, who's like, yeah, I can see something happening, but I'm not that invested in him. It sucks seeing him, you know, lose so many matches time after time after time. I would really like to see him just racking up a few victories, you know. But hey, it's fine. I am happy that Darkstate won. I'm not too against it, because same thing with Darkstate, you know. I'm on board with them, and then I'm not on board with them. It's weird, but you know, I am curious to see how this Shaquan Sugars feud plays out. I do want to see him just beat all of them up constantly. I think that could be fun, but I don't know how long that shelf life is. Again, you know, Darkstate is just something sometimes I'm interested, but then the next week I'm like, nah, get this shit off of my television. OTM also defeats the Culling, where Sean Spears gets pinned, so we are clearly building up to that breakup. I do hope, similar to Darkseid, we don't drag it out for too long, because the Culling have never been too interesting for me outside of Izzy Dame, who has always kind of been interesting to me. So I'm not too excited to see this played out. But I'm really curious to see how Nico Vance does as a solo wrestler. I'm thinking of checking out Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's promotion, Triple H's promotion, my ass. I'm interested in going to check out there, because he's the world champion there, so I kind of want to see what he's like on his own and how that translates to NXT. I'm really curious to see that, at least. And I'm happy OTM got the victory. Let's push them more. Let's have them on our screen every single week. I just love OTM. Now let's talk about Tate Wilder, who is currently the most interesting he has ever been for me. I've watched him all throughout his Evolve run, and while he was cool and I've always, semi-liked him, he's never been as interesting as he is right now. So as he prepares for his match tonight, EK Prosper is backstage telling him, just slow down, because you keep losing your matches because you're being too overzealous, you're being too eager. And Tate Wilder doesn't really listen to him. Cam Hendrix walks up and he gets into their faces too. So he doesn't listen to EK Prosper's advice, which ultimately leads to him losing to Jackson Drake. Makes sense, right? And then backstage, EK Prosper tells him, man, you should have listened to us. Keanu Carvin also walks up, says that if EK keeps talking his mouth, he's gonna wire it shut, and also says that's what Tate Wilder just gets. So, EK Prosper versus Keanu Carver, banger of a match. I do think we're getting it, and I'm very excited to see that match. I'm very excited to see Keanu Carver rack up another victory. Let's get him into that main event scene too, because, Tony D, Naraku, Mason Rooks, Keanu Carver, ooh, that would be goated. Back to Tate Wilder. I'm loving what we're doing with him. Like I said, it's the most interesting his character has ever been for me, and I'm curious to see where that goes, because I don't think it's time to pull the trigger yet on him starting to win. I still think he needs to be even more down, right? More bad stuff has to happen to him. That sounds awful, but you get what I'm saying. I think, I don't know how we get there, but I'm curious, because each week it's more and more entertaining the way he loses and the way he gets his ass beat. I guess that's what makes Tate Wilder most interesting. Even back in Evolve, whenever he was being beat up by Cam Hendrix, that was whenever I was the most interested in him. So maybe it's just a thing with Tate Wilder. Maybe I just want to see him get his ass whooped. Anyway, that is NXT for you tonight, along with the announcement, a whole long promo that just sets up Kalani Jordan versus Kendall Gray next week, where the winner will face Lola Vice at Great American Bash for the Knockouts or NXT Women's Championship. Should be a fun match, but I think we've already established that over the last few weeks, so there's not a lot of necessarily talk towards that we could talk about, So that was NXT, and I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. An overall good show, but it just didn't hit the same as it always does. And that doesn't mean it's bad, right? I understand we're still in a very much rebuilding phase. We are still really trying to get invested in all these new wrestlers, and they called them up so quickly that it's difficult. I mean, Sean Legacy and Dorian Van Dukes weren't even on the show tonight. So, there's so many top stars that aren't on the show every single week. Keanu Carvin, EK Prosper, 2 more guys who were on the show but technically weren't on the show. Plus, the women's division didn't get nearly as much matches or attention. So, until we start smoothing things out, really getting invested into every single wrestler, I think it's gonna be a while before it consistently hits those 10 out of 10 episodes again for me. But tonight wasn't bad. Again, it was good. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. I sat there and I was hooked the whole time. It's gonna be a while before we get there again. Anyways, if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe because I cover NXT, AAA, and Evolve every single week, occasionally TNA. I also have a podcast with PUWF where we talk about Evolve for about 2 hours. So if any of that is your thing, leave a like, subscribe, and do all the YouTube things. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.